Rebel forces in the Niger Delta have created havoc and controversies issues across the Nigerian states. We call on all individuals to convene immediately to enable us restore peace and order in the entire Delta region. Born on June 2, 1964 in Okrika, an Ijaw ethnic community in Rivers State, is the home of the former warlord turned crown king. He is the head of the Niger Delta Vigilante Force, an ethnic Ijaw militia group that advocates for resource control, the downgrading of authority, and fiscal federalism for the Nigeria state. The early 1990s tensions between foreign oil companies such as Royal Dutch Shell, Total Eni, Ajip, Mobil and some of the Niger Delta's minority ethnic groups, particularly the Agonis and the Ijaws, who believe they are being exploited, gave rise to the current unrest in the region. Despite the country's conversion to democracy and the election of the Olusegun Obasanjo administration in 1999, political and ethnic turmoil persisted throughout the late 1990s. Since competition for oil revenue has fostered ethnic conflict, practically the entire region has been militarized by ethnic militia groups and Nigerian military and police units, most notably the Nigerian Mobile Police. During that gloomy time, the violence contributed to a problem in Nigeria's energy supplies which affected the entire Nigeria economy. According to a 2022 report by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, Angola and Libya have overtaken Nigeria as Africa's highest crude oil producers. Due to the profits made from the oil production that was drilled from his own community. He decided to start his own Niger Delta rebel organization known as the Niger Delta Vigilante Force, which he founded in 1999. This militia group later grew to a major resistance organization that was now supported by the establishments. Later that year, other cult and resistance militia groups began to spring up from within Port Harcourt and the Niger Delta Creek. Some groups extended to Bates of Bonny, Bakassi Peninsula, which is 14 kilometers from Akparbuyo and Calabar, in the quest to conquer more territories. Most of the group extended their operations as far as Gulf of Guinea. Ateke's organization began to combat these rising militia group and stopping them from atrocities. His actions drew the notice of the government in support of his movement and formed an alliance with state security forces to restore peace and order across the Niger Delta and Gulf of Guinea. His alliance with the state paved way for him to begin working for politicians who needed his services to gain political offices and influences. The Niger Delta People's Volunteer Force (NDPVF), commanded by Mujahedin Dokubo Asari, and the Niger Delta Vigilante Force (NDV), led by Ateke Tom, both of whom are predominantly composed of Ijaws, however, violently converged and violence became concentrated on the streets of Port Harcourt and neighboring cities. While Tom Ateke and Asari Dokubo were causing mayhem in Rivers State, another Creek militia named Mr. Government Ekpekimapolo, aka Tompolo, was also brewing a new rank of militia group in Delta and Bayelsa states. Tompolo met President Musa Yar'Adua and was given a presidential amnesty. Today, with the help of State Minister for Petroleum Resources, Tompolo have become a darling of the Nigerian state. In 2022, President Muhammadu Buhari awarded a security oil pipeline surveillance contract worth $8 million, over 4.5 billion Nigerian naira monthly to Tompolo's company known as Ocean Marine Limited. This effort was aided by President Muhammadu Buhari's Minister for Petroleum Resources Chief Timothy Silva, who is also from the Niger Delta region and was a former governor of the oil-rich Bayelsa state.
Particular people, we did not say anything. Now, this one has started again. This is SCTL trunk line. It has 90-something kilometers. And there's a community that has 83 kilometers. Where we have the lives of the former IC president, Mujahid Asari Dokubo. He was not recognized. We have the lives of I-Chief Ateke Tom. He's now a king. He's not also recognized.
Many of these cult militias were local university fraternities before being labeled cults by the Nigerian government. Most of the names that the groups have chosen are based on Western culture. Examples include Icelanders, Greenlanders, KKK, and Vultures. Disgruntled young men and women primarily from Warri, Port Harcourt, and their surrounding suburbs make up all of the organizations. Even if the smaller groups are independent, they
shall relate with you for the liberation.
have forged connections with Asari and his NDPVF or Tom Atek's NDV, who offer military assistance and guidance, and are mainly under their control from above. Asari, a former leader of the Ijaw Youth Council, established the NDPVF in 2003 after he retreated into the creek to create the group with the overt purpose of gaining control of local petroleum resources. The main method used by the NDPVF was to try and control these resources through oil bunkering, which involves tapping oil pipeline and extracting the oil onto a ship. While oil companies and the Nigerian government point out that bunkering is against the law, militants defended their craft by claiming they are being exploited and have not gotten enough money from the lucrative but environmentally damaging oil industry. Oil that has been bunkered can be sold for a profit, typically to locations in West Africa but also overseas through the Atlantic shorelines of Bonny, Nembe and Brass. In the Delta, bunkering is a fairly regular activity, but in this instance, the militia groups are the main offenders. 2004, during which the NDPVF purposefully set fire to certain homes, completely destroying entire residential slums. The international community became aware of the issue when it was swiftly approaching a violent climax in September 2004. These two parties subsequently engaged in combat for control of bunkering routes in the Niger Delta region and Gulf of Guinea, with the majority of the violence taking place in riverine settlements, southeast and southwest of Port Harcourt. The crisis sparked acts of terrorism against the local populace, which led to many fatalities and extensive evictions. The disruption of daily civilian life forced the closure of businesses and schools, and there was significant property damage as a result. Tom Ateke of the Niger Delta Vigilante Force (NDVF) was given more confidence by the state's campaign against the Asari Dokubo's NDPVF, who started expressing populist and anti-government ideas in public while attempting to cast the conflict in terms of a pan-Ijaw nationalism and self-determination. As a result, the state government intensified its campaign against him by deploying the army, navy, and police, who started seizing Port Harcourt in June 2004. During the summer, the government forces worked with the NDV and were observed defending NDV fighters from NDPVF attacks. State security personnel fell short of their duty to shield the civilian population from the violence and worsened the destruction of people, means of livelihoods. It was widely reported that the Nigerian state troops exploited the battle as an excuse to raid homes, saying that defenseless residents were working with the NDPVF. Force was used by government officers and soldiers to seize and destroy private property. The military was accused by the NDPVF of launching air raids against many towns, completely leveling them, because it was thought that they were housing NDPVF soldiers. The military disputes this, asserting that they only ever used aerial combat in an actual effort to destroy an Asari Dokubo's stronghold. The NDPVF forces opened fire indiscriminately in an effort to engage their opponents, killing innocent bystanders in the process. The Port Harcourt shoreline was the scene of several extremely vicious clashes at the end of August 2004, during which the NDPVF purposefully set fire to certain homes, completely destroying entire residential slums. The international community became aware of the issue when it was swiftly approaching a violent climax in September 2004. After many months of gun battles in Port Harcourt between several militia groups and security forces, Ateke Tom wrote to then Governor of Rivers State, Mr. Celestine Omehia, asking for amnesty in response to the government's offer of leniency and rehabilitation to militias who turned themselves in. Tom voluntarily turned himself in to President Musa Yar'Adua at the Government House in Abuja on October 1, 2009, the 49th anniversary of Nigeria's independence, and 3 days before the end of a government amnesty program. President Musa Yar'Adua ordered the presidential jet to transport Tom Ateke to Abuja, the president said. Today, Chief Tom Ateke, you have given me my 49th independence anniversary gift, and I value it so much. The renowned militant leader, who was pardoned after turning himself in during President Yar'Adua's amnesty era in 2009, has carved out a new path for himself by ascending to the position of king in his community of Ateke, Okrika local government area of Rivers State. He was unanimously chosen as their new king by the locals, who value and admire his generosity and leadership abilities. Investigation has revealed that the former warlord first resisted accepting the position, but some of his closest friends and the town chiefs intervened to persuade him otherwise. The former warlord of Rivers State was crowned Amanyanabo, which means king in the Ijaw dialect, on the 25th of November 2017. Traditional dances, traditional customs, and musical performances accompany the coronation. One of the guests at the occasion held at Ateke, in Okrika local government area of Rivers State, was Governor Nyesom Wike, the executive governor of Rivers State, Nigeria. If you love our video, kindly like, share and subscribe to our channel for more curiosity videos. Thank you for watching.